In today's video, I squint into the camera, then I peel the skin off of my Tahoe, and I dig up some ancient past from 2 years ago.
Well, recently I changed the oil in Tahoe, and I realized that I haven't made a update on the whole fluid film versus the Cosmoline situation. So I guess it's time. It's been like what, 2 years now. So I guess let's see how things are underneath, right? Well, first and foremost, this did not bode well whatsoever. This was at the beginning just a little bit of a little blem, and it just opened up. I mean, this whole thing is just one big giant. Yeah. See, the duct tape even didn't fix it, so you know it's bad. So from that standpoint of view, I guess my treatment did not gosh, this is really ugly, did not help. But I'm gonna say this was probably already been pretty darn far gone. So yes, I need a new bumper or to fix this or do something about that. So that is a fail on the part of trying to salvage that. Hi Ollie. Yep, yeah, full belly, I know. Yeah, I'm having a semi house cat now. So yeah, so that's the bad news. But let's see how things are underneath, which is kind of more important, I guess, huh? Alrighty, so this is the Tahoe underneath. Apart from this spot here, which I'm going to explain in a second, it looks pretty darn good. There are a couple of spots here and there, they're kind of missed, but overall, all the spots that I did look amazing. This spot here is the spot where the block of wood was sitting, where it was still sitting on the jack stands. So this is the spot that I actually forgot to treat, and you can tell it just didn't get given treatment, and he actually started to rust superficially. So if I didn't do this, I am under the impression that the whole frame, or at least this portion of the frame which is exposed to the spray from the wheels, would actually start to look like that. So as far as I'm concerned, this was a success. You can still see there's a couple of spots, like this piece here. Again, this is from the overspray, or the spot where the overspray is prevalent. But overall, the whole frame looks pretty darn impressive. And again, the spots where the thing was sitting on the jack stands. So I'm gonna spot treat this with Cosmoline, and I would like to respray it again with a fluid film, but I'm lazy, and it's already December, almost it's the end of November, so I don't know if I'm gonna have a chance. Today is probably the last day that it's still nice and warm outside. So I'm gonna do the critical things and treat this spot so it doesn't blossom like the bumper, and go from there. Yeah, I'm fairly impressed with the results. Now, the fluid film versus Cosmoline, am I still gonna continue doing the fluid film? Answer is yes, because I think it still does offer some protection, so the more is better, basically. So you can tell this is the spot where the spray from the wheels was actually washing away the fluid film, and it's kind of dryish type deal. It's still tacky, but it's not as super tacky as the one in the corners. So I believe that the combo is actually working very well if you apply it, if you don't miss it. So yes, I'm gonna continue doing what I'm doing. So I'm gonna spot treat this with the Cosmoline and all the spots that are actually bare naked now, and then if I have a chance, I'm gonna spray it again with the fluid film. Okay, I'm very pleased with this. So we have a bonus round now. I'm at the hitch side of the Tahoe, and I want to show you why you should never use the rubberized undercoating. The places where the rust proofing has failed is actually the spots where the factory rust proofing, thick rust proofing that the factory is coating on, is actually flaking off, and not the actual Cosmoline or a fluid film failing, because I really sprayed the heck out of this. I don't know, can you tell, but this is how thick I applied all my rust proofing, and you can actually tell this is the worst of it all. This was pristine when I did this 2 years ago, and now, yeah, again, this was not present 2 years ago when I did my rust proofing, and now it's all flaking out because you can tell it's still greasy. I don't know, can you tell on camera? Yep, see the grease? That's the fluid film. So it's still present, it's still there, it didn't get washed off. This is actually the factory stuff failing. So that's why you should never ever use the rubberized undercoating, because it will allow the chips to the stones to put a chip in it, and then underneath all that the water was just gonna seep in and create all this mess. And yeah, this is now basically bare naked metal that's starting to rust. So yeah, good thing I started doing this while I started doing this, because if I was less lazy I would call this on time like last year, but nah. Anywho, alrighty. And more of the same here. Look at this. This is on the passenger frame rail. So I'm taking pretty much all the rust proofing and all the undercoating off in one, in giant flakes, and the metal is freaking bare naked underneath this. I mean, granted, the truck is what, I don't even know, 2005, so they'll make it, no, 2004, so they'll make it, I don't know, some years, 15, whatnot, and 130,000 miles in the Midwest. So this is actually not as bad, I guess. But yeah, if you don't catch this on time, yep, this will all be gone in a matter of a year or so. Okay, glad I'm doing this. Quick bonus round, how the Acura looks underneath, because Acura is the vehicle that I do not drive when it's nasty outside, and I try not to drive it in the rain. And this is fluid film only. There is no Cosmoline on the car, because at that point I did not know about the Cosmoline. And the results are as expected. Like when you don't have the places where you don't have a spray from the wheels, it's still there. It's still kind of greasy a little bit, so I know it's there. But on the spots where you actually get the spray from the wheels, it's washed off completely. You can kind of tell it's really thin here, like almost non-existent. It's still kind of shiny, but it's not there. On the A-arm, you cannot see it because I can only get the phone in there so far. It's completely dry. So like spots, they're like here, not really juicy. So it does work, but only to a certain degree. And no, I would not trust it to last more than a few months. Especially if you live in a place where you're gonna get a lot of the water on the roads, because it doesn't even have to be salty in order to get it washed off. So Cosmoline still number one, if you can apply it. That's kind of where we're at. See, this is what I mean by fluid film is capable of moving around. Acura was parked nose first, and the sun was usually hitting it on the grill, which is not really sprayed out with the with fluid film. And now that I have a new project over there hugging that spot, now Acura has to go on this side, and now every single time the garage door open and weather is nice, the sun is hitting the trunk, which I I kind of sprayed the corner of it in the on the inside in between the sheet metal, and now you can tell. I don't know, can you tell? It doesn't really show on the camera, but you you can tell how it's. This is fluid film leaking from those spots and kind of just dripping down the thing. So yes, so it does move when it's when the weather is nice, which is good on one end because it will kind of heal the all the chips in the protection and kind of smooth itself up and heal itself up. But the problem is it can be a little bit messy, but it'll all wash out hopefully.
So this is Buick, I think it's 2020. This was before any fluid film was applied or any Cosmoline. You can kind of see how crusty that thing was, especially down below the bumper, that piece of sheet metal. So yeah, this is the beginning of the saga.
And these are the frame rails on the Buick. As you can tell, they are in pretty good shape overall, but they started to get a little crusty. Now mind you, Buick initially got the same treatment as Acura, so basically a very thick coat of fluid film, and then after a year or so, when I realized that everything was getting just washed away, I actually sprayed with a Cosmoline. Mind you, I was not very detailed about it, if you like, because it was cold. I didn't have it on the ramps like so, and as you can tell, it's flaking. So even with the Cosmoline, it's not as dry though. These are just the spots that apparently I'm gonna say the Cosmoline didn't latch on because of the fluid film. But that's just a, this at this point, this is just a pretty much speculation. So it's still a little bit greasy to the touch on the spots that are nice and dark and covered. Of course, the spots that are rusty, that's all dry. So I'm gonna respray it with the fluid film. Sorry, with the Cosmoline in these little spots, just to kind of keep it, do a little upkeep, and go from there. So not quite happy with the situation. I was really expecting more from the Cosmoline, but again, I did apply it in a totally incorrect slash way that I wouldn't do it. But at that point, I kind of, it was more or less an experiment. Okay, so do not apply Cosmoline after the fluid film. Apply it before or only, and we'll go from there. I guess I can bring you along on a journey of rust-proofing jalopies. Very satisfying. Of course, I'm trying to avoid spraying on the brakes, but it is what it is. That's it. You had the picture. Let me put you down here for the money shots. Maybe, yes, no. Not really. Yeah, that should work. Oh, that's not gonna work because it's blowing towards the camera, and I do not want to mess up the lens. So I think I'm gonna regret not wearing any clothes. Yep, I'm gonna regret not wearing any old clothes. This is not really scientific approach. This is kind of more of a. I had a spare few hours. Came home early from work because we're kind of slow because of the pandemic and whatnot. So yes, I have more time, but I'm getting broke as we speak. But that's for another story. Yeah, it looks much better already. It looks patchy on the camera, but that's actually Cosmoline being wet. So that's not rust, that's actually being already covered. So yeah, I'm kind of happy how that is turning out to be. And you get an idea. I'm gonna stop this because it's kind of getting boring. What I'm gonna do is finishing up the rails. I'm gonna crawl underneath the car a little bit more, kind of catch on the inside of those rails because that's something that you don't see and usually miss, and finish up on the other side. Again, it takes maybe a can. This last time I bought it, I think it was $15 a can, and it does help a lot. So your mileage may vary. Mileage on this thing varied a lot already, but I think it helped, especially in midsection over there. So we'll see. Next year we'll try to do another review. So this is for 2022. It's December. And I'm probably catching the last nice days in December to do this. So yes, I am hurrying it up. All right, let's see how Wagon is doing. Wagon is the car that I initially sprayed with the fluid film, and then all of this got pretty much washed away. So then I switched to Cosmoline when I realized everything is dry, and you cannot see it on the camera, but it's still a little tacky. But you can still the corrosion is starting to kind of peek through. I'm assuming those are the places where the fluid film was still hanging on, and the Cosmoline just didn't have a chance to attach itself because it's pretty uniform all throughout the frame, and it's actually looking worse. Focus. There we go. It's actually looking worse than it is because the flashlight. And again, just a little superficial corrosion. You can see inside nice and juicy. Oh yes, that's what I like to see. That is fluid film. That is fluid film. So you can see the difference between the places where the fluid film was applied and it didn't get sprayed off, and the places that the fluid film got basically washed off, which would be these spots here where it got flaked off. So that's the difference between fluid film and Cosmoline. Cosmoline stayed on, fluid film did not.
Okay, so I'm gonna do like a little bit of a go back in the past type deal. This is when I got the Golf and when I started repairing the rust. So yeah, this is fixed, but what I want you to kind of pay attention to is actually this part here, which goes underneath the that portion of the door on the sill actually, and you can see how rusty it is. And what I did was basically I didn't do any specific like preparation or anything like that. Didn't even try to repair it. Basically, I just Cosmoline it over. And I didn't do too good of a job of actually recording that part, but you can kind of see that was actually just sprayed really thickly with Cosmoline, and it's holding up pretty good. There is a little spot of rust that kind of showed because that was at the very edge of the repair here, but now it's starting to blossom a little bit, which is to be expected. It's far from professional. Towards the back, the same story. Again, had the pretty good size of the rust patch here, alongside with this portion with a little hole in it, which I put a mud on it and just painted it over. And here, basically, what I had to do was I kind of opened it up because it was starting to bubble, and I just Cosmoline it over. So result is that patch that just basically has a mud on it and a paint over it, held up pretty well. A little bit of a rust going on in here, but as you can tell on the bottom of the of underneath that sill is actually really nice and solid. However, that's not the end of the story, of course, because this was 2 years ago, I'm gonna say. So some things still need to be done, and but we'll address that in a video.
Golf kind of did the same thing as the Tahoe. Started to blossom, but the places that I placed the Cosmoline and sprayed the Cosmoline actually remained fairly well protected. There is also one that was kind of experiment. Sorry. And that's this spot right here, and it was pretty much bare metal. And I don't know, can you tell how? I'm gonna switch to to the the lighted view and see if we're. Come on, light. There we go. So you can see it started to pit a little bit, but overall this is a year and a half, 2 years with almost no protection, so it was bare metal when I started. So Cosmoline is doing absolutely amazing job. This is not even that thick of a coat. You can see it's basically just kind of like, you know, a couple of splats and that was it. Same thing down here, same thing in here. This is nothing but Cosmoline. There is no prep whatsoever. It was just a paint and a little bit of Cosmoline on top of it. So very impressed with that thing. So alrighty, so this is the after the fact that I sprayed it with the Cosmoline. Of course I had to open up a lot more. I don't know, can you tell? But this is all, I had to all chip at it, and you can see it's all rusty under. But yeah, so that's to be monitored for next year. And yeah, it's been kind of windy, so I couldn't really spray it the way I wanted it, so I kind of had to hurry up. But I'm pleased with the results. You can see through it, which is this Cosmoline is translucent, which I actually prefer. They do make it in black, but I like it to be translucent, so I can actually kind of monitor the situation. And yeah, this doesn't look pretty at all whatsoever, but it works. That's all it takes. It's all it takes. So yeah, so I guess that's the update on the Cosmoline versus the fluid film. I'm gonna say they're both excellent products. It's just you have to apply them correctly, because what from my experience, the Cosmoline is much better for the undercarriage, where you have allow the spray from the wheels, and basically it's if you apply a fluid film there, it's just gonna get washed off in a matter of months. But at the same time, the fluid film is much better if you apply it into the like inside of the doors and whatnot, because it will also act as a lubricant for the window regulators and doors and the door locks and whatnot. So, which Cosmoline would just make everything terribly sticky. So yeah, do not apply it in there. Both of them are more or less the same price wise. I mean, the difference between fluid film you can find in Walmart for about, currently in December of 2022, for about $12, $13. Fluid film you can find in Walmart for $11, $12. Cosmoline is the same price if you find it online, more or less. So very few differences about that. Application wise, fluid film is more user friendly, if you like. With Cosmoline, you basically have to dress up like a hobo in clothes that you're not gonna wear, and you're gonna smell like old socks forever, and the car is gonna smell like old socks forever. So yeah, I actually left the Tahoe outside for about 2 days after I have done with this this application, and for the remaining of the week it was still stenching up the garage. Yeah, it's really nasty, but at the same time, you have seen how effective the Cosmoline is, especially on the undercarriage. So what I'm gonna do is, I said that I'm gonna keep applying the fluid film on top of the Cosmoline. That I'm gonna change that, because as you can see, especially Tahoe actually showed that really nicely, that with the older cars specifically, the factory
protection is flaking off from the bare metal, and basically you need to keep up with application of something that's heavy duty, aka Cosmoline. So there's no point of spraying it with fluid film, because it's just gonna make the Cosmoline difficult to stick. So again, your mileage may vary. That's kind of what I am right now. So yes, I did learn a ton about these two products, and I don't have a favorite per se. Again, it's all a matter of where you're gonna apply them and how you're gonna apply them. And yeah, that's about that. So I'm really glad this was kind of a journey. I'm keep gonna messing up with the with my jalopies and whatnot, because as you can see they're just old and getting rusty, and I live in Midwest, so salt is a daily occurrence. So yeah. I hope you had a good experience watching these, that you have learned something like I did. This was the whole point of this video. I don't know if this is the end of this series. I guess I'm gonna keep an update, a year from now or whatnot, or 2 years or 5 years, depending on how lazy I am. But for right now, I believe I showed everything that I wanted to show, record everything I wanted to show, and yeah, that's pretty much it. I do not have any kickbacks from any of the companies. This was paid by my own time, my own money, and my own efforts, and my own learning curve, if you like. So there's no monetary background of this, except that I'm going to be saving my vehicles from rusting completely off. But yeah, that's it. You guys have a good one.